Good morning. Thank you all for joining. We will get started in just a moment. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are providing testimony before the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board. Today, I'm also joined by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly if you are providing testimony before the board. We'll call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will note that we will be calling one item out of order, which is item number 7 that will be called first before we move to the beginning of the agenda. Once I call each item into the record, I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. Again, all testimony will be limited only to those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. As stated, we will begin this morning with item number 7 before returning back to the top of the agenda. Calling item number 7, Emmanuel Enterprises, LLC, located at 71 to 73 Meridian Street in East Boston. Date of the incident, December 18th, 2024. Assault and battery, patron on police officer in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13D. An intoxicated, disorderly patron causing a disturbance on public way in front of licensed premise in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Hello, my name is Jorge Sabogal. I am the assistant manager.
Thank you for being with us this morning. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
No.
Thank you. Can you both please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
Good morning. I'll be reading from a police report which I wrote on Saturday, December 21st, 2024. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the BPD licensed premise unit, responded to El Diamante. Detectives were there to speak to staff regarding a prior assault and battery patron on police officer. The incident had occurred on December 18th, 2024. See incident number 242-106-343. Detectives spoke to the person in charge, Mr. Jorge Sabdagal, who confirmed that he was aware of the incident and had been working that evening. Mr. Sabdagal was informed by detectives to preserve any video footage of the incident. As a result of the incident, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice 017940 for assault and battery patron on police officer and intoxicated disorderly patron causing disturbance outside of the premise. Mr. Sabdagal signed for the accepted notice. That is all. If you'd like, I'm going to read the original report here.
Thank you.
At about 2:10 a.m. on Wednesday, December 18th, Officer Santiago Hogan, while assigned to the Golf 101 Alpha, responded to radio call for investigate suspicious person at 7173 Meridian Street in East Boston. While en route to call Area 8 dispatch, officer notified officers description of was a Hispanic male with a mild build in the mid to late 30s, wearing a red jacket, blue shirt, black jeans, and black shoes, along with another Hispanic male with a small build, unknown clothing description. Area A dispatcher notified officers the persons were knocking on the glass of the establishment, which was closed. Upon arrival, officers saw two persons matching the description given by to officers by Area A dispatcher in front of the bar El Diamante, 7173 Meridian Street. Both persons were looking and banging on the glass. Officers notified both parties the bar was closed at 2 a.m. and now 2:15. The suspect, later identified as Wilmer Mejia Sanchez, stated he noticed that the bar overcharged him. Officers told him the bar is closed and he would have to come back during normal business hours. Officers Mejia Sanchez and his friend, later identified as Jose Sanchez Alfarano, multiple verbal commands to stop banging on the glass and leave the area. Sanchez Alfaro attempted to get Mejia Sanchez to leave the area and pushed him and refused. Mejia Sanchez told Sanchez Alfaro to not be scared. Continued to look in the window. It should be noticed Officer Mirando was also on scene. Barman, later identified as Felipe Sabdogal, stated to Officer Hogan both parties were patrons and left about 10 minutes prior during closing time, and there was no issue. Sabdogal then stated that both returned after and were banging and looking into the window, scaring all of the female workers. Sabdogal stated all of his workers wanted to go home and were waiting until both parties stopped causing a disturbance. Sabdogal stated both parties were drunk. Officers gave more verbal commands to Sanchez Alfaro and Mejia Sanchez to leave the area. Santiago walked over to Mejia Sanchez, who kept moving around the area, explained again whatever issue he had with the bar must be handled during normal business hours because they are closed. It should be noticed Officer Santiago spoke in both English and Spanish, so it was clearly understood. While Officer Santiago was standing in front of Mejia Sanchez, attempting to explain the situation and get him to leave the area, he pushed the officer in the chest. Officer Santiago grabbed Mejia Sanchez's arms so he would stop pushing him and immediately felt him tense up. So Officer Santiago conducted a takedown. While Mejia Sanchez was on the ground, Officer Hogan took out his cuffs and attempted to place them, but Mejia Sanchez continued flailing his body and arms. Officer told him to stop, and he continued his behavior. After about a minute, Officer Hogan was able to place the suspect in handcuffs. Officer Santiago searched Sanchez Mejia and placed him in Boston Police Cruiser after several attempts due to him resisting by keeping his feet outside of the cruiser. Once inside the cruiser, the suspect began to yell erratically. The suspect stated he had pain in both hands. Boston EMS was requested to the scene. While awaiting Boston EMS, officers readjusted his handcuffs. While doing so, the suspect laid completely out on the bench, face down, continued to scream even after the adjustment to the cuffs. Boston EMS 827, EMTs Quinn and McCoy arrived on scene. Boston EMS 827 evaluated the suspect. With the time claimed he had no problems and was fine. Boston EMS 827 asked the suspect if he needed to go to the hospital, which he declined. Officer Santiago asked the suspect where he lived, and he declined to answer. Officer Santiago told the suspect he could be brought home and summoned to court, to which he stated, "Take me with you." While in the cruiser transporting the suspect to Nassau Street, the suspect began to hit his head off the glass and yell. The suspect also stated to Officer Santiago in Spanish, "He will see me later." Throughout the entire car ride, he continued to issue verbal threats to Officer Santiago along the lines of, "You are making a mistake and will be found out outside of work." At Nassau Street, the booking process was extremely long due to the suspect's non-cooperation. The suspect also issued threats at Nassau Street, saying to Officer Santiago, "May God bless his family." The suspect was eventually booked at Nassau Street and charged with disturbing the peace and being a police officer, resisting arrest and threats to commit a crime. Body-worn camera on and activated during this infraction. That is the original report. That's all.
Thank you very much, Detective. Mr. Sabogal, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes. So that night, Mejia, he's a regular at the bar. Every time he comes in, he shakes my hand. We have small talk. That night, it's the first night every time he comes alone. That was the first time I ever see him come in with a friend. They arrived at the bar around 1:35, 1:40, which the lights, we turn on the lights at 1:45. They were there for a little bit. They left and then they came back 20 minutes later and started banging on the door. I didn't even know who was banging on the door. They started getting really loud out there. The girls in the bar were scared, so I had to call the cops. The cops arrived, and that's when that whole problem happened. But the guy's a regular. Every time he comes in, he's polite, nice guy. I don't know what happened that night. When he left, he shook my hand. I told him have a good night.
He wasn't overcharged.
He wasn't overcharged. He told me about the incident. I told him to come back tomorrow, and I don't know what happened with those 20 minutes where he left and then came back, but he was a totally different person when he was outside banging on the door.
Thank you very much. We'll see if there are any questions from the board at this time. Chairman Joyce, any questions?
Just confirming that you called the police, is that correct?
Yes, I did call the police, and when I called the police, the dispatcher told me that they were already on the way because the neighbors saw somebody suspicious outside.
Okay, and how long were they inside the licensed premise drinking?
They were in there for 20 minutes, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
they left at like 1:40, 1:45. Yeah. So they arrived there like 1:15, 1:20.
Okay. All right, thank you. I don't have any questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
No questions from me, thank you.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you very much. The board will take this under advisement. We'll now return to the top of this morning's agenda, calling item number 1, Game On Fenway LLC, doing business as Game On Sports Cafe, located at 72 to 82 Lansdowne Street. Date of the incident, September 19th, 2024. Overserved patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 69. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board. Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the licensee. With me this morning are a number of licensee staff: Carlos Piedrata, Anthony O'Leary, Jerry Colbert, who was the manager who signed the inspection notice. Good morning and thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm just making sure all are on screen. I see Mr. Piedrahita. I'm not sure I see the others. Anyone who is planning to testify, please do make sure you are on camera so that we can swear you in. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Norman Texera.
And Officer Mark Holbrook.
Great. Are there any other individuals with first-hand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Great. I do now see everybody on screen. If you could all please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report to the record?
I can read the original one. I wrote it.
Great.
Detective Texera, but
Thank you. If you could please proceed with the board.
yes, sir. Okay. At about 1:40 a.m. on Thursday, September 19th, 2024, Officer Holbrook in the Delta 415 Alpha unit and Officer Norwood in the Delta 421 Alpha unit received a radio call for an intoxicated, unresponsive female at Game On Restaurant located at 82 Lansdowne Street. Assisting on the call was the Delta 907, Sergeant Downey, and the Tango Echo 507, Officer Hubbard. Upon arrival, Officer Holbrook was directed to the downstairs of Game On, where Boston EMS A04 was tending to the victim, Laurie Straub. Straub was lying face up on the ground and appeared to be unconscious, though she was breathing. Boston EMS transported Straub to the Beth Israel Hospital for further treatment. Officer Norwood followed the ambulance to the hospital for an updated prognosis. Officer Holbrook spoke to Game On bartender Jeff Humphrey, who stated that Laurie Straub had about 4 tequila on the rocks drinks and paid in cash with no bar tab. The bar manager, Anthony O'Leary, stated that he observed Straub standing at the bar and then fell to the ground, at which point he called 911. The game on floor manager, Carlos Piedrahita, took Officer Holbrook and Sergeant Downey into the back office where he played security footage of the incident. The security footage showed the victim, Laurie Straub, arrive at the downstairs bar at about 12:48 a.m. with her sister, Jeanette Straub. Footage shows Laurie Straub is approached by an unknown black male, beard, facial hair, black hoodie, light or white colored jeans. The two are engaged in a close conversation interaction for about 30 to 40 minutes and appearing to take shots together. Footage shows Laurie Straub fully alert for most of the interaction, but at about 1:22 a.m., she appeared to become increasingly inebriated, resting her head on the bar. At 1:28 a.m., Straub fell to the ground with her head slamming on the floor. Straub appeared to lay there unconscious until EMS arrived and transported her to the Beth Israel Hospital. Officer Norwood spoke to the Beth Israel medical staff who stated that Straub was being treated for non-life-threatening injuries and they were going to perform a CAT scan on her. Medical staff stated that they would contact Norwood if her condition worsens. Officer Holbrook spoke to the victim's sister, Jeanette Straub, who appeared highly intoxicated and very upset over the situation. She was yelling that her sister was raped by James. However, when questioned further about her statement, she couldn't provide answers that aligned with any of the footage or the witness statements, claiming he probably raped her while they were talking at the bar, but then stated that she didn't see it happen. Straub described James as a black male, but could not provide further description. And that is the end of the original police report.
I could read the supplement report. I'm Detective Norman Texera. On Saturday, October 12th, 2024, at about 22:30 hours, Detective Texera and Detective Govan responded to Game On, located at 82 Lansdowne Street, to conduct a Code 35. Detective Texera issued a City of Boston Licensed Premise Inspection Notice, number 016903, to the manager of Game, Gerald Cubbard. The establishment was cited for the violation of overserved patron.
Thank you very much. Attorney Quilty, would you like to address the alleged incident?
If I may, just quickly for the detective, sir, did you issue the licensed premise inspection notice?
Yes.
And that I think it was signed by Mr. Colbert, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it indicates police were called in the area by whom was left blank. The licensee made the 911 call, is that correct?
Yes, that's what the original report states.
Okay. And in addition to that, do you have any indication? Our understanding is that Mr. Piedrahita, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, initially went outside. There was a Boston Police detail officer outside and notified that officer first when this happened. Do you have any indication that occurred?
No, that's not mentioned in the original report, so that wasn't to my knowledge.
And the inspection notice was quite some time after the actual incident, right?
Yes.
All right. Oh, thank you, sir. So that day you spoke to Mr. Colbert. You didn't speak to Mr. O'Leary, Mr. Piedrahita, or any other employees?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. If I may, is the original officer, I'm sorry, still with us?
Yes, sir.
So you responded to the 911 call, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and do you know that it was made by licensee staff? Well, your report indicates that.
It does indicate that, and I did check my body cam footage last night, and I did. There was a conversation where the gentleman from the Game On did say he called 911 after she had fallen down.
Okay. Was there any indication stated to you that she appeared to be kind of quite normal until the moment she fell down, that she was dancing, talking to people,
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say to the right when she fell down, but within it was a short time that she became what I think it said increasingly inebriated. It seemed like a pretty quick time, maybe like 10 minutes or so, where she was seemed okay, and then at one point she put her head on the bar, and then it seemed to escalate pretty quickly. If that's what you're asking.
But from everything you observed and, excuse me, from what you know of the incident, did the staff act appropriately in the circumstances? In terms of calling 911, being there to help when the ambulance arrived, when the police arrived, et cetera.
Yes, when she fell down, they called 911. They tended to her. They made,
Okay, and they cooperated with you in every respect, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. If I may, like to call Mr. And I'm sorry, I'm butchering his name, Mr. Carlos.
Piedrahita.
Thank you. What is the proper pronunciation?
Piedrahita.
Piedrahita. Thank you, sir. And you are one of the folks who was on duty on the night in question?
Yes, sir. I was the manager that night.
Okay. And can you describe what you observed of Ms. Straub during your time during this incident?
All right. So it was like 1:20 a.m. when we turned the lights on. I was on the first floor, the upstairs floor, just making sure that nobody leave with the drinks, closing the building, turning off the TVs. And one of the barbacks come upstairs and say, Carlos, the bartenders need you right now downstairs. I said, okay, I'm coming right now. So on my way downstairs, I hear a woman screaming as the victim's sister. She was screaming, so I was immediately at the moment that I hear the woman screaming, I see another woman on the floor. At the same moment, I saw Anthony O'Leary on the phone and immediately asked him, "Are you calling the ambulance?" And he said, "Yes, I'm on the phone with them." So I get there. This woman keeps screaming and trying to become aggressive with my staff. So on that point, I remember there was a police officer outside helping with a construction. And I go outside and I say, "Officer, can you please come downstairs with me and help me? I have a woman who started to get in aggressive with my staff." So the officer came downstairs and started to speak with this woman, trying to, to calm down. And he called the radio. I think that he called more backups on the radio too. And that's basically what I do when I saw the situation.
Okay. But when you went outside to get the police officer, you know that 911 had already been called.
Yes, because at that point I was talking with when I first hear the woman screaming and I was on my way downstairs,
Mhm.
I saw Anthony O'Leary on the phone and I asked him, "Are you calling the police, the ambulance?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm on the call with the 911 right now."
Okay. Okay.
So
The notes indicate that the woman who fell seemed to be quite normal up until almost the moment she fell. Did you interview the staff, the bartenders, or anybody else to discover what might have happened here?
yeah, I asked him the bartender, say, "What happened with this woman?" And they say, "Carlos, she was fine just a few moments ago. She was totally fine. She was dancing, and the next day we saw when we turned the lights on that she was on the floor. It was something very quick. That's something that happened just literally when we turned the lights on. And yes, I asked the bartenders, and all of them told me the same. Carlos, she was fine. She was dancing. She was here with another man, and everything looks fine."
Okay. All right. So in your opinion, did you and your staff do everything that you could do in the circumstances?
Yes, we was with the victim all the time. We was making sure that she was breathing. We called. I go outside for police. Anthony Leary called the police and ambulance at the same time. Um, we just followed the protocols, and we was trying to do the best that we can, and we did it.
And I know there was a period of time between the incident and the police arriving with the inspection notice. Was video preserved of this incident?
Yes, we saved the videos, and when the police arrived, they asked me to watch the cameras, and I immediately go with them to the office, and I showed the whole incident and different angles for the cameras.
Okay. And was that has that? Do we have a copy of that we can provide to the licensing board today?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that we have a copy for the incident.
Katina had already sent those over.
I was just going to ask.
Katina already sent it? Okay.
I was just going to ask if that happened. All right, thank you. Thank you, Carlos. The board may have some questions for you, so hold on, please.
Mhm.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions.
This downstairs bar, right, where the video is being recorded, how many bartenders and staff do you have down there on that night?
On that night, I think there was 5 bartenders and a bar back. That's the bar staff.
And it didn't look very crowded.
Oh, it was closing too, Madam Chair, right? It was, they had already turned the lights on.
Did any of the bartenders speak to the woman?
I think there was one of the bartenders who served that person, but it was not like a whole speak. They just asked for a couple drinks. The bartenders give you the drinks, and that's it. I think that was the whole interaction.
And at no time, so was there a written incident report, an internal incident report written by staff after this? Because I'm curious what the interaction was with the staff and this woman, because to me, she does not look like she was normal 1 minute and then fell down.
I don't know, and Ms. Corpines, who has all the documentation, is on a company trip, but as soon as I'll communicate with her electronically and find out. I'm not aware that there are, but usually we do have staff reports of incidents, and I'll provide those to you as soon as I can find them.
Yeah, I would like to see that based upon the video. I appreciate the videos that I'm viewing. I'd have to go back and look at them more carefully, but I would question whether or not she went from being fine to falling down. I have no questions, Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon.
Yeah, the man described in Ms. Coropine's narrative, I think she believes he's James. Was it confirmed that it is James?
I mean, what I read from the report that would be this person, James, but I don't. Yeah.
So, Attorney Quilty, we got a narrative from Ms. Coropine's,
Right. Okay.
that's supposed to correspond with the video.
Okay.
She says in it, I believe it's James.
And we think that's it. I met with her before she left.
Okay.
And that's exactly what everybody thought, was that this must be the James person who's identified in the.
Okay.
The sister giving the name of the person who was with the sister who fell.
Okay, so I want to talk about James and what he's doing here.
Yeah.
Is
And
he
we don't
on
know,
duty?
for example, we don't know whether James, we know nothing about him. I mean.
Well, yeah, what's going on with that?
In somebody's drink here, and we don't know what occurred, so.
Is he on duty at the time?
Oh, no, he's not. He's a patron. Just James.
Well, why was he behind the bar?
Unaware that he was behind the bar.
Miss Coropine says he's behind the bar. The video looks like he goes behind the bar.
I have a clarify at that point. So the person this woman is describing, it was a patron. The other guy who's behind the bar is a security staff. He works for the Fenway Park, and he worked for us some days as a security guy.
I'm looking at the video. I see the same guy who's behind the bar in a light colored hoodie with a backpack on. And sometimes he's behind the bar, and then sometimes he comes up in front of the bar with them. He goes back and forth.
No, if you saw the video, she was dancing with another guy.
So Carlos, is the guy with the backpack on the staffer?
He was not working that night, but he's security. He worked for us for security some days, and he worked for security at the Fenway
Is that
Park.
James? Is that James?
Say it again?
No, I think James is the person who was having a drink with the woman at the bar. The other fellow.
Yeah, but all right. So even Miss Coropines describes James in a light colored hoodie as being the man behind the bar.
Unfortunately, I didn't get her notes, so I'm flying blind here. I do not know. I thought James, I'm sorry, but from the police report, I thought that James was the person interacting with the victim at the bar. I think that's what I read, but
No, just before the victim falls,
Mhm.
The man that I believe is the same guy in front and behind the bar is behind the bar. When she falls, this man comes back around the bar and is trying to rouse her.
I can only think
Who
that
appears to be the
would
same man in a light
Yeah.
colored hoodie with a backpack on, who was 10 minutes before out in front of the bar with the two young women.
I am sorry, but I don't know, Carlos.
Oh, okay, so my next question would be what, I don't know. I mean, can I get a straight answer? Because my next question is going to be, is James taking drinks out off the clock or off the tab and bringing them out to these people, out to the two women? Because that's what it kind of looks like. You can't tell. So, Attorney Quill, did you have anyone here who could give me an answer on this?
Anthony, you were
Dennis,
present?
I can add to this, Dennis.
Okay, let's go.
The tall individual, that is James with the backpack. There's
Okay,
another video. There's another person in the video. When I remember seeing it, I wasn't there that night, but I remember seeing it. He's wearing like a gray hoodie. I think that's the confusion, that he was with those people. But James behind the bar is a security staff member at Game On.
with a backpack on.
Correct.
Okay, and so the same guy comes out back and forth to in front of the bar.
Yeah, again, I wasn't the manager on duty that night, so I don't know. But I just know that the tall one is James with the backpack, and then there's another male at
Okay, why is this guy James behind the bar?
I can talk about that.
Okay,
All right.
Anthony,
So he
state your
came
name for the record.
because we asked him, because they were the last two people in the building. So we were talking to James. He was about to leave. Then he was helping us try to have them leave because the lady that fell, her sister, was like being crazy. She
no,
wouldn't-
I'm not talking about that.
Yes, but that is why he came behind the bar. And
No, he was behind the bar before the victim fell.
yes. And then because he was talking to us. So before the victim fell, we were already closed. We were trying to get them to leave. So he was talking to them, trying to ask them
Okay.
to leave.
Give me 1 second here. I just need a moment. I'm just watching. I think the moment I see him go behind the bar.
Liam, while you're
Yeah,
Commissioner,
thank you.
while you're watching the so the charge here is over service, correct? So do I understand that she had 4 drinks in under an hour? Did I can draw the right conclusion? She had 4 shots. Did I hear that correctly? Between like 12:48 and 1:20 something.
That's what the police report states.
Okay, so is that, I'm not a drinker, is that like a normal amount of drinking to do in under an hour? Is it, does TIPS training speak to that amount of drinks in that time?
All I can tell you is that that's what it indicates in the police report. I do not know what her capacity was. I don't know whether she had 4. It says she had 4 on the rocks drinks.
Was it the same server? Does the video show the same server? The same bartender? Serving
I do not know other than what's in the report.
What does the video show? Does anyone?
So as far as how
I'd
many
agree.
drinks were served, so far it's been difficult for me to tell. Sorry.
I'll make sure to watch it myself.
I think the confusion might be that, I mean, I was wrong. The James who was identified is a part-time employee, and that would answer the question, I think, as to why he was behind the bar. He appeared to be trying to help out in that circumstance. But there was another gentleman that was having the drinks with the victim?
He's behind the bar with a cup in his hand, serving himself. And the bar looks basically empty. It looks like he's just helping himself to alcohol. Now he's talking to the victim from behind the bar. I don't think he's helping out staff on a busy night.
Yeah, I mean, to me, my question is he taking liberties as someone who has some employment connection there when he's not on duty?
Anthony, can you answer anything here?
I mean, the person that should be speaking to this is the bartender on duty that was standing right there. Who is that person? Do we have them available?
Well, Anthony, who just spoke, is the bar manager who made observations, is named in the report and called 911. So he was, I mean, the bartender is not here, but the bar manager who was standing there.
He was standing there. I'm sorry.
He observed the woman fall to the ground, and then he called 911. So
Okay.
Anthony, can you come back on?
Yep.
So can you help us out here with the James and the backpack and what he was doing?
So I did not see him pour himself anything. I wasn't in that corner of the bar, but I know that he was asked to help us get people out of the basement, the bar. And he was over there. He went over there to talk to them. And then they were about to leave. And that's when she fell. So he was behind the bar talking to some of my staff, and I was listening. They were asking James if they could help get the person out of the bar.
Okay.
I never saw him pour any alcohol. I didn't see any of that. Maybe it was water, soda gun right there. I'm not sure.
Okay. And he's the person who was a part-time employee of Game On.
Correct.
Okay.
Are there any further questions from the board?
Not for me. I'm just gonna have to watch the videos all the way through again. Thank you.
Chairman Joyce, Commissioner Saxon, any further questions?
None from me, thank you.
Thank you. There was a request for the chair for any internal incident reports of this event if they do exist. So please do provide if they do exist.
Anthony, okay, I will reach out to Ms. Cora Pines, who keeps the records, and whatever we find, I will provide to the board.
Thank you. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank
Calling
you.
item number 2, Adair Inc., doing business as Ned Divines, located at 2201 Faneuil Hall Marketplace. Date of the incident, September 26th, 2024, a possible drugging in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning again. Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the licensee. With me this morning, Christina Doherty, who is the manager on duty, Patty Miranda, and I believe Desi Kearns. Good morning.
Great. Thank you all. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Giblin. Lieutenant Detective Troy, if necessary.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Officer Giblin, if you could please read the report to the record for the board.
About 2:15 hours on Thursday, September 26, 2024, Officer Giblin, assigned to the Alpha 425 Alpha, responded to a radio call to investigate a person inside Ned Divines, 4 Faneuil Hall Marketplace, Boston. Operations informed the responding officer that a female caller woke up inside of the bar and discovered that she was in the bar alone. She stated to operations that she may have consumed a contaminated drink. Upon arrival, Officer Giblin observed that the establishment was completely closed. Officer Giblin was met at the front door of the establishment by the victim, who identified herself as Crystal Cascante. She stated that she woke up inside of the female restroom on the second floor and did not remember how she had got there or what had happened during the night. She stated that she had arrived at the establishment around 1845 hours on Wednesday, the 25th, and she stated she had consumed one espresso martini while she was there. She stated that she was at the establishment for a work event and remembers that around 20:30 hours, she received a text from a friend. She stated that after that, she does not recall anything from the remainder of the night. Officer Giblin requested EMS to respond. The Alpha 902, Sergeant Hogan, the Alpha 436 Alpha, Officer DePina arrived on scene, conducted a sweep of the establishment, locating no other persons in the establishment. Boston EMS Ambulance 1 Alpha 01 arrived and spoke with the victim. Victim stated that she did not wish to be transported to a hospital at the time. She was advised by Officer Giblin and EMS to seek medical care on her own if she wished. Victim notified one of her friends, Ellie Lemon, who arrived on scene, transported her back to Quincy. Faneuil Hall Security arrived on scene and were able to notify Ned Devine management of the incident and the ongoing alarm. District A1 to issue a license premise violation to the establishment on a later date. That's all, sir.
Thank you very much. Attorney Quilty, would you like to address the alleged incident?
If I may, we have, this was a private event the night in question, which was over at 11 p.m. This was an unfortunate error, mistake by the licensee staff in terms of not clearing out the space before closing for the night. This was not a normal 2 a.m. closing and run down throughout the premises. Again, it was a private, like a corporate event over at 11 p.m. It was minimal crowd. It had started earlier, much earlier in the day, like late afternoon, like 4 or 5 o'clock till 10. And everybody was gone by 11, and the staff literally failed to do everything they should have. And we do have a timeline which I can provide to the board that is, indicates what was observed. Is Desi Kearns on with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and do we have this? This came from security film. Do we have film available for the board?
Yes, I believe so. Yes, I
Okay.
know.
I'll provide the narrative as Patty Miranda put this together, and she's with us this morning.
Yes, I am.
Patty- yeah.
Okay, and Patty, do we save is tape available we can provide to the board?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll provide the tape and provide the timeline. This was very simply a kind of a not a normal crowded, busy night where the staff would have been on kind of high alert to make sure every room and every background area was checked. Again, this was a private event that was over at 11 p.m. and I think there was no heightened awareness, if you will. Nobody had any understanding until after the fact that this occurred. We have retrained everybody. Mr. Carnes is the overall manager for the Briar Group for a number of facilities, and they've gone over and retrained everyone about double and triple checking every area within the space whenever closing time arrives, whether it's 11 p.m. or 2 a.m. This was an unfortunate error, and as I suggested, everybody's been retrained. Staff and management take this very seriously. We're obviously very glad that this young woman was not hurt in any way, but it was a mistake that the licensee is responsible for, and we take responsibility for it, and we'll cooperate in every way with the board and the Boston Police, and we'll provide you the written timeline and the video later today.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions at this time. Chairwoman Joyce.
So this is absolutely frightening to me. Why didn't we have the video and timeline before this hearing so we could actually review it and ask you questions?
I don't know, Madam Chair. I wasn't aware that it wasn't in. I saw the timeline and I hoped and assumed that it had been given in, but Thankfully, it has not been.
It's been rescheduled, like we've had this, we were actually, we rescheduled this at your request and here we
Right.
are.
Right. Well,
I mean, I can't even ask any
I wasn't
questions.
aware it was on, so.
I can't even ask any questions. I can just comment that this is frightening. And I guess one question is, I know you said you'd go over that, you'll send us the timeline, but is there someone from the staff that can tell us what happened that night and why no one went into the bathroom? Other than the fact it wasn't a usual crowd and they just didn't?
Patty, you put this timeline together. Can you answer some questions for us?
Yeah, I wasn't here that night. Christina's right here with me. She was the manager on duty for the night. I will just read them because I saw the whole night. That's what my resume from the night, but Christina was the one who was written behind. Do you want to just give them the...
Just state your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name's Christina.
Last name?
Doherty.
Okay.
So unfortunately, yeah, there was 2 closing managers that night and we weren't on the same page. And usually we go about and check each bathroom and any closed door in the building while we close, just make sure there are no people in there. And we missed it. And it was a huge error on our part.
Yeah, like someone could have died.
I know. Yeah. No, we feel terrible.
Sure. I feel terrible that we're not able to even review this at the hearing that we have rescheduled at your request. To me, that's unfortunate. I don't know why we didn't get this beforehand. There's nothing else I can ask or say, Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon.
I'm confused as to what the narrative and video are gonna give us. So can you just tell us as far as, is it just the closing procedure, or are we gonna get a description and a review of whether or not a drugging occurred here?
So we went over the footage. She had more than one drink. I know she stated she had one drink, but she had more than one drink. She got them from 2 different bartenders throughout the night. So you don't see her talking to any other bartender. She stays with her group. And then I believe she gets a text message from a friend. She walks to the bathroom and then we don't see her again till 2 a.m. But she's not stumbling. She's not making any judgment errors. So I mean, that's the video.
Okay, and we'll receive, and the narrative addresses that, and then we'll receive video that corresponds with that narrative?
Yes.
At 2 a.m., she comes out of the bathroom and you can see her on the phone with the police. She's kind of looking around. She walks around a bit, goes downstairs, lets the police in, and then they talk, and then 2 other policemen come in and they do a walkthrough of the location, and then they all leave.
Okay, so the narrative and video covers the before and the after.
Absolutely.
Right.
All right, thank you.
It starts at about, according to what I'm reading, 6:54 p.m. She arrived at 9:50. She walked away from the group in the direction of the bathroom, looking at her phone. On the way to the bathroom, she stopped in the hallway to keep texting, then walked to the ladies' room. And then she came out of the ladies' room at 2:04 a.m.
Correct.
So this covers roughly from just before 7 p.m. to just before 10 p.m.
Okay, I'll await that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney Green, if I could, just the matter was assigned to a detective in District 1 who spoke with the victim, and her toxicology came back negative. So just to clear that up.
Thank you.
It's definitely a lapse of oversight. Is there anything that has changed since that incident, or have you improved your process?
Yeah, we do. We meetings every weekend, and we close in every private event, and every end of the night we make sure everything is being checked.
Any further questions from the board at this time? Okay. We will await the submission of videos and the narrative timeline, which will be forwarded to the board as soon as I receive them. With that, the board will take this under advisement for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 3, Lolita Boston LLC, doing business as Lolita Cocina and Tequila Bar, located at 271 Dartmouth Street. Date of the incident, September 4th, 2024. assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
William Burke for Lolita, and with me is Mark Malatesta, their manager.
Thank you very much. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department? Lieutenant Troy, you're on mute currently. Oh, sorry. I just remuted you by accident. Sorry, Lieutenant Troy, you're still on mute. There we go.
There you go. Sorry about that. Yeah, Lieutenant Detective Troy, officer, or Detective Fencer, the summons officer, are not here. So,
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Troy. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Great. Can you both please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. If you could please read the report into the record for the board.
I apologize. Report written by an Officer Tucker. It reads as follows: at about 1 a.m. on Wednesday, September 4th, 2004, Officer Tucker responded to a radio call for a fight at 145 Newbury Street, Boston. On arrival, officers met three victims: Mr. Allah, Mr. Dusak, and Mr. Atala, at the corner of Newbury Street and Clarendon Street. Initially, victims were very flustered and advised the officers that two black males and two possible females just attempted to rob them after they got into a confrontation outside Lolita's. Victims stated they were able to separate from the suspects and that the suspects fled on Newbury Street towards Dartmouth Street. Mr. Allah stated to the officers one of the suspects said they had a firearm, but Mr. Dusak denied hearing any of the suspects mention that. Victims said the suspects were mostly wearing all black. The officers proceeded to provide suspect descriptions and direction of flight over the police radio. Officers also mentioned the possibility of carrying a firearm for officer safety. Officer Tucker spoke to Mr. Dusak, who separately, as he mentioned, one of the suspects reached into his pockets to attempt to rob him of his wallet. Dusak went on to advise that after the suspect was unsuccessful, he was able to get away from him. The officer asked Dusak if he needed any medical attention, which he declined. Officer Martinez spoke to Mr. Allah and Atala, who mentioned that they were trying to buy females drinks inside Lolita's when the suspects started a confrontation with them. The incident continued outside Lolita's, and the suspects followed the victims down Newbury Street in an attempt to rob them. Victims were able to separate themselves, and they mentioned that they called the police. The suspect fled. Neither party needed medical attention, and an officer advised multiple units in the area to try and locate the suspects. As it is noted that Allah and Atala both were part of a previous incident in nearby bar, the Parish Cafe, where the manager of the bar was struck on the side of the head. It's a separate incident report. Reading from the detective's report regarding Lolita's, it reads as follows, and this is written by Detective Fencer. September 17, 2024, Detective Fencer responded to Lolita's Back Bay and issued a license premise violation for assault and battery, patron on patron. And that's the extent of the police reports.
Thank you very much. Attorney Burke, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. Green, and Madam Chair and members of the board. Mr. Malatesta is here with us. This is an incident of September 4th of the year, but the citation was never issued to us until the 17th. When as the officer's report reflects in his report from the 17th, we were fully cooperative with them, accepted this, and we have in fact provided video. And as I understand, the video will reflect that there's no incident that gives rise to a concern about a confrontation inside Lolita's prior to these individuals leaving the bar. This whole incident occurred outside the bar and removed from Lolita's. There was nothing that gave rise to any concerns, as I said, within. I'll ask Mr. Malatesta to address that for you, but based on everything we have, we've been fully cooperative, have provided the video that's available. And Mr. Malatesta, would you step in, please, and describe what's on the video and also what occurred as far as you understand?
Yep. So we were approached about 2 days later by some officers notifying us of an incident that occurred outside of our space around the corner. They asked if they gave us a description of the individuals because we had no incident report or anything that had happened, prior to that. So they gave us a description. We went through all the video footage. We were able to locate who we thought were the people and their interaction, which was very brief and frankly friendly. And then that was it. And we provided all that with them leaving to the officers as soon as we had it. And, we did everything we could to support them. But inside the space, there was no argument really. They talked for a very brief period of time and that was it. I don't know how it escalated outside the space.
And Mr. Malatesta, are any of these individuals, Mr. Dusek, Mr. Allah, or Mr. Atala, are they regulars at
No, my staff is not known to any of the individuals that were there, either the two gentlemen that they're talking about or the other men.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions from the board. Chairman Joyce.
You'll forward the video to the board?
The police department has it, but we certainly will forward it to the board, yes.
I'm just wondering how, when they left, the fight started right outside?
I'm not sure where it was. We were told it was around the corner or something. We were not aware, staff wasn't aware, security wasn't aware of any incident outside or inside, and our security was out front, so.
Okay. All right, thanks.
I'll just also point out, Madam Chair, that in the police report, 2 of the 3 individuals that purport to be victims were cited as having been involved in another incident at the Parish Cafe where a manager was struck in the head a short time prior to this, not on the same date. But these are individuals, as I said, unknown to Lolita. We will get the video over to Mr. Green directly.
Mr. Green, if I may, the video was provided to the detective and I attempted to open it, but it says it's expired, and the detective noted it this instance quite some time ago, but it had expired, so I was unable to open it and unable to forward it. But from what the detective observed in the video, he said it wasn't of much value. The incident occurred out in front of the bar, and the manager that there was no cameras where the actual interaction inside the bar took place, apparently.
We'll still provide you whatever we have with regard to the incident, Mr. Green.
Thank you, Attorney Burke, and I'll make sure that's shared with the commissioners when we receive it from you.
Terrific. Thank you.
Commissioner Kern, Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
None for me, thank you.
No questions from me, thank you.
Thank you. We will await the video, and in the meantime, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Calling item number 4, Massachusetts Sports Service, Inc., doing business as TD Garden, located at 100 Legends Way. Date of the incident, September 4th, 2024. Indecent assault and battery ×2, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 22, and drugging, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Attorney Green, members of the board, Kristen Scanlon for the licensee.
Thank you. And do you have any witnesses with you this morning who will be testifying?
Yes, Tim Townsell is on, Shannon Torgerson, John Joynes, and Eric Rivers from the licensee.
Great. Thank you very much. I see all of them on my screen. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Lieutenant Detective Troy, this sexual assault detective, Detective Lewis, just emailed me. She said she has been trying to get on, but it got kicked out a couple of times, and is having difficulty. So absent her, I will endeavor to read this report.
Thank you. I don't see anyone attempting to get in the waiting room. Would you like us to hold for her, or do you want to move forward?
We can proceed, and I mean, I have her information. If she manages to get on, that's great.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we will proceed then. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. If you could please read the report into the record for the board.
Reading from a report written on September 5th, 2024 by an Officer Ramirez, that reads as follows. At about 9:25 on Wednesday, September 4th, 2024, Officer Ramirez responded to a radio call for an assault and battery at Mass General Hospital. On arrival, officers made contact with victim number one, who was an 18-year-old female known to the Commonwealth, and victim number two, a 16-year-old female known to the Commonwealth. While conducting an investigative interview regarding an alleged assault that had been carried out by a suspect, both victims appeared to be under the influence of alcohol and/or drugs at the time. It should be noted that both the victims and the medical professionals at that time suspected at least one of the victims, if not both, had been roofied based on their behavioral symptoms. Victim number one, an 18-year-old female, claimed to have consumed very little alcohol, shooters, prior to attending a concert. Victim number one described the suspect as a blonde male. Victim number one stated that prior to the assault, the alleged assailant had told her that he was gay, a homosexual. Victim number one stated that she and victim number two had consumed a beverage that had been served to them by the suspect. Victim number one stated that at some point the suspect followed her into the restroom and proceeded to caress and kiss her neck. Victim number one stated that the suspect then touched her buttocks and Rad slid his hand up her thigh and into her underwear and digitally penetrating her. Victim number two, 16-year-old female, claimed the suspect had rubbed her thigh at some point throughout the concert. Victim number two stated that she had originally met the suspect at a conference in Shanghai, China, and had possibly been roofied and sexually assaulted by him in the past. Victim number two stated that she attempted to warn victim number one about the suspect. The suspect was interviewed in 100 Legends Way by the Alpha 81, Lieutenant Demesmond. He stated he had asked if he was going to be criminally charged. Lieutenant Demesmond received a copy of his driver's license and forwarded that to the sexual assault unit detectives Lewis and Malone, and that's sexual assault detectives took over the investigation at that stage. There's an additional report from Sergeant Detective Taxter, which is just a licensed premise violation, and it reads on September 20th at 9 p.m. Sergeant Detective Taxter and Detective Lawton responded to the TD Garden and issued licensed premise violation for indecent assault and battery, patron on patron, and drugging. Violation was accepted by Mr. Pimentel, the security manager, who was cooperative during the inspection. That's the extent of the police reports. There's a lot of investigative material from the detective that, if questioned, I can answer.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. I'm sure we'll return with questions after we hear from the licensee. Attorney Scanlon, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you. Some questions for Lieutenant Detective Troy. Lieutenant Detective, members of BPD were aware of the alleged incident prior to SAU's involvement or Officer Ramirez's involvement at MGH, correct?
They were aware of. The understanding was that the individual had procured alcohol from minors. There was no indication at that time within the TD Garden that there was any kind of an assault involved.
There's nowhere in the police report that states that the alleged suspect procured alcohol for minors, though, correct?
That was the lieutenant detective's understanding when he encountered that when the security had when he and the security approached the suspect.
I see. That's what the alleged victims claimed to the
That-
officer when he approached them.
Yeah, that was his understanding at that stage.
Okay, and as an initial matter, it was TD staff that alerted BPD, the on-site detail at the licensed premises regarding this situation, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
And BPD, while at the licensed premises that evening, located and identified the alleged suspect, right?
Yes.
And again, BPD, while at the licensed premises that evening, removed the alleged suspect from the seating area that they found him in to interview him.
That's my understanding also.
And at that time, it's not reported that they found any evidence of drink tampering or illegal substances on his person, correct?
No, ma'am.
And after BPD interacted with the alleged suspect at the licensed premises, he was not placed under arrest, correct?
He was not.
To your knowledge, were there any other patrons that notified BPD of any disturbance or reporting of any alleged assault that is in question while at the premises?
No, not that I'm aware of, no.
So no patrons approached BPD when they went to remove the suspect from the seating area?
No. Once again, no, I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Well, interacting with the alleged victims at the hospital, victim number 1 informed police that she consumed alcohol prior to attending the concert, correct?
She did.
And this is consistent with their observations that she was under the influence of something, correct?
That's correct.
And victim number 1 also made various accusations of assault against the alleged suspect, correct?
She did at Mass General, yes.
And indicated that an alleged assault occurred in a bathroom at the licensed premises?
Yes.
According to the officer's report at MGH, both of the alleged victims identified the alleged suspect by name, correct?
That's correct.
And at least one of the victims also informed officers at the time that he was previously known to her or both of them, correct?
He was from my understanding from the police report, he was previously known to the 16-year-old victim number 2.
Okay, thank you. And victim number 2, for the record, never corroborated allegations made by victim number 1, correct?
No, she didn't.
And were there ever any charges brought against the alleged suspect?
No.
And to the best of your knowledge, were staff at the licensed premises cooperative at all relevant times during the investigation in this matter?
From my information and from conversations with Detective Lewis from Sexual Assault, they're extraordinarily cooperative, provided video stills, and so on.
Okay, thank you very much, Lieutenant Detective. I appreciate that. Madam Chair, members of the board, as noted in the licensed premises violation ticket, police were notified. As you've heard at the time, it was detail officers at the event that were notified as the situation was unfolding. The following facts are further detailed in an internal incident report that was submitted to the board. But at approximately 8:30 that evening, TD security noticed and suspected the 2 females may be impaired. This officer immediately notified a supervisor who then asked those 2 females to follow her to the lobby. As they began interviewing the females, the first female mentioned that she was offered a drink by a male after mentioning she was dehydrated. She stated it was a lemonade. She also stated she began to feel unwell afterwards. As you heard from the Boston Police report, that same female also acknowledged that they had alcohol or something described as shooters before the concert. She then told the security officer that the male, an alleged suspect, grabbed her face and kissed her, and she pushed him off. At this point, the security officer was also bringing the females to on-site EMTs to be further evaluated. It's according to the security officer, the second female or victim number 2 was quiet during this entire time and only asked the security officer if they had to tell her parents. The security officer, as you heard, notified on-site Boston Police detail of the ongoing situation. They asked the females for a description of the male. The security officer and EMTs both then called the parents of the two girls. The father of the first female informed them of medication that she was taking. At this time, we're unaware of what those medications are, but it is unknown and also possible that it may alter state of mind and interact with alcohol that she acknowledged she consumed prior to entering the licensed premises. Both BPD and security at the garden approached the seating area, locating the male as identified by the females, and further removed him to the Putnam Club for questioning. There was no evidence at that time to hold or otherwise arrest him. As you heard from Lieutenant Detective Troy, he was not arrested for the charges the licensee is here defending. He was released from BPD, but nonetheless evicted for causing a disturbance at the premises. Of particular note, there are several inconsistencies between what was reported to TD staff and later to the police on site. By way of example only, victim 1 told staff that she had consumed a beverage, that she had asked for it. At the hospital, she told police they both consumed it. Victim number 1 never told staff about allegations occurring in the bathroom, only that the alleged suspect tried to touch and kiss her while they were in their seats at the concert. Further, victim number 2 never corroborated victim number 1's story to either staff or BPD. I cannot state this emphatically enough that what was alleged to BPD at the hospital was absolutely not known or alleged to the licensee or on-site BPD at the time regarding any alleged indecent assault in the bathroom. Curiously, the suspect seems known to the alleged victims, as stated in the police report. We don't know whether they came to the concert with the suspect or they had plans to sit together or otherwise meet him there. But of the 40-plus staff members on the floor, none witnessed any of what was alleged. Further, there's no reports of any other patrons observing what was alleged or reports of any type of disturbance. When police interviewed the male at the time, nothing was substantiated and they didn't arrest him, with the male denying all accounts of the incident. Nevertheless, the licensee didn't want the person there based on the statement from the two victims. Their standard policy certainly calls for eviction based on the report from the victims alone. So again, BPD interviewed him and let him go. This wasn't really the licensee's decision here at this time, but they evicted him anyway. Lastly, and so the board is aware, the staff did search all names, including of the females and males in this instance. Nothing was purchased by the females, and the only record that came up of the male was a purchase for pizza and soda. The licensee did also review the video on the floor and were able to visually ID the guests, but couldn't say if drinks were manipulated and could not see any alleged assault. We no longer have the video, but we've altered the policy that we retain any video indefinitely for dates that we haven't, even just an LPV ticket, even if we don't know the detail of the BPD report at this time, as they didn't with this one until the end of January. Otherwise, their standard policy is to retain video for 60 days. The licensee is well aware this is an issue in Boston. They have an awareness campaign that they flash on screens about not sharing drinks or taking drinks from people that you don't know or otherwise passing off drinks. They also include this as a topic in pre-shift meetings and discussions with staff. The licensee is constantly examining patrons for suspicious behavior, which includes any tampering with drinks. It's definitely high on their radar. But by nature of the venue and events they hold here, most people coming to an event there come with people they know. Drink is largely on their physical person for most of the time, or within a foot radius of them in their seats at all times, or in drink holders nearby. But the licensee does offer lids for cups as well. The allegations here are definitely an anomaly. With that said, as it relates to the licensed premises, they do not have a pattern of similar incidences at the licensed premises. It's otherwise a setting that's very secure, especially as it relates to drink safety. Overall, the licensee did everything they should have under the circumstances and with the information they had at the time. They ID'd the suspicious behavior, responded with their internal teams, notified on-site BPD detail and EMS, and further collaborated and cooperated with them to address the allegations. And despite the allegations, there's been no evidence presented that the suspected drugging or assault occurred on the premises. Also, for what it's worth, no evidence suggesting any foreseeability or that the licensee had reason to believe that these two females would have been drugged or assaulted in any form or fashion, and the licensee somehow failed to stop that from happening. They definitely have appropriate safeguards otherwise in place and did everything they should have in handling this matter. That being said, we're certainly here and happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Thank you. So just to clarify, your record showed that this suspect only purchased pizza and soda?
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
I have no questions. Thank you.
None from me. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 5, Paga Inc., doing business as Icon, located at 100B Warrenton Street. Date of the incident, October 14th, 2024. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Mark Evliades, representing Paga Inc. With me today, I have the security manager, Kevin Montgomery, and the general manager, Shirok Reza, present.
Thank you. I do not see Mr. Reza. I do see Mr. Montgomery. Mr. Reza, if you are planning on testifying and you're with us, please do turn your camera on so we can swear you in. In the meantime, I will ask who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department.
Hi, good morning. Boston Police Officer Matt Entwistle.
Thank you very much.
Shirok Reza for Paga Inc.
Thank you very much. We can't really see you. It's a shaky image of, I'm not quite sure what. There we go.
And I apologize for that.
No worries. Thank you for being with us. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Detective Walsh is on also. Another one that just emailed me and told me he was trying to get on, but if you see him, let him in.
Will do. There's currently no one in the waiting room. Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. With that, can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I do.
Thank you very much, Officer Entwistle. If you could please read the report into the record for the board.
Yes, sir. Just to clarify, this is roughly like a 4-page police report, so I'm gonna try and break it down as best as I can.
Thank you.
Okay. About 3 a.m. on Monday, October 14th, 2024, Officer Entwistle and Rooney, assigned to the Alpha K1, responded to a radio call for shots fired, resulting in the arrest of Devon Olas for firearm-related charges at 276 Tremont Street, Boston. Roughly about the same time, 3 a.m., officers received a radio call for a large fight involving 20 individuals at 100 Warrenton Street, Boston. As multiple A1 units responded, Channel 2 dispatch notified officers a second call came in at 270 Tremont Street for shots fired inside the parking garage. Channel 2 dispatch stated public safety were told by 2 people who were no longer on scene were shot inside the garage. Public safety stated a gray Honda was indicated as the involved vehicle and currently parked on Tremont Street in front of Royale nightclub. At this time, all A1 units were on scene responding. Officer Muckahide, working the A1 talk cameras, notified officers a gray Honda was currently parked outside of 270 Tremont Street with occupants inside, and the passenger side front door was open. On arrival, officers approached the right rear of the vehicle. Officers observed, later identified as the suspect, smoking a cigarette sitting inside the vehicle with the door open. Officers asked Olas to step out of the vehicle and stand on the sidewalk, to which he complied. As the suspect was walking towards the sidewalk, stepped out of the vehicle and fled in a full-on sprint down Tremont Street into Elliott Norton Park. Officers gave strong verbal commands to stop running, to which he ignored. Olas continued fleeing, then slipped and fell on a wet grass hill. As Olas fell, officers observed through their training and experience what they know to be as a firearm thrown from his person onto a pathway. Officers were able to catch Olas, who was already on the ground, and safely place him in handcuffs. Officer Entwistle and Rooney demanded Olas for his license to carry, to which he responded, "I have an Arizona ID," and then a license to carry. "I didn't know I needed one." Officer Rooney read Olas his Miranda rights from the Boston Police issued Miranda card. Olas stated he understood. Simultaneously, Officer Hollaback stood by the firearm until detectives arrived on scene. Officers conducted a search incident to an arrest and walked him to a marked Boston Police cruiser where he was placed in the rear. Post Miranda, where he stated he understood, Officer Giblin reiterated to Olas he has already been read his Miranda rights and is willing to, if he's willing to speak about the incident. Olas stated he understood his rights. Olas stated he was inside Venue, a nightclub on Warrington Street, located just 1 block away. Olas stated a fight broke out. He stated he didn't know anyone who was involved, but a firearm was mentioned. Olas stated he was the 911 caller for the original fight call because he didn't want to use his firearm. Officer Lucas spoke with the witness owner of the vehicle, Miss Burgos, who confirmed the gray Honda was hers. Officer Lucas notified Burgos a firearm had been recovered and Olas was inside the vehicle. Officer Lucas stated, due to the recovery of the firearm, the vehicle is about to be frisked for weapons. Burgos gave officers verbal consent to search the vehicle. During the search, officers recovered a black backpack behind the driver's seat. Officers asked Burgos if the backpack was hers. Burgos stated it was Olas. Officers conducted a pat frisk of the outer part of the backpack and felt a hard metallic object believed to be a second weapon. Fearing a weapon from Olas's property, officers opened the bag and recovered a box of .22 caliber rounds. It should be noted prior to the verbal consent of the vehicle, Officer Lucas notified Burgos she was not under arrest and read her Miranda rights from the Boston Police issued Miranda card. Burgos stated she understood her rights and asked Officer Lucas if she could walk with him. Burgos stated Olas is just a friend of hers, and they went to Venue for the night. Burgos stated Olas was pissing all of their friends off while inside a verbal altercation took place. Burgos stated she left the club with a friend. She stated they made their way to the parking garage on Tremont Street and observed 2 males who were in search of a vehicle. Burgos stated she assisted them with finding the vehicle somewhere on the 2nd floor. She stated Olas arrived inside the parking garage and was jealous she was speaking with 2 males. Burgos stated Olas approached the 2 males who began to walk away and round the corner. Burgos stated Olas pulled out a black firearm, pointed it towards the 2 male victims, then fired 3 rounds in their direction. Burgos stated she already had plans to drive Olas home. After getting into the vehicle and exiting the garage, Burgos pulled in front of 270 Tremont Street where they were supposed to drive a friend home who was standing right outside. Burgos stated she stayed parked while waiting for her friend to enter the vehicle. While scanning the inside of the garage where the alleged incident took place, Officers Chan and Drew recovered 3 shell casings and a fragment located on the ramp from the 2nd floor to the 1st floor. Officers placed yellow crime scene tape around the scene until detectives arrived for processing. Officer Muckahide, still working on the A1 talk cameras, notified Channel 2 a possible vehicle involved in the incident. A white Honda Civic was seen leaving the garage around the time of the shots fired and continued to circle the street of Tremont and Charles Street multiple times while officers were processing the scene. Officer Muckahide stated it just drove down Tremont Street in the direction of Oak Street. Officer Entwistle and Rooney, along with Officer Lambert and Bowman, entered their cruiser and approached the vehicle from the rear to conduct a traffic stop at Harold and Shawmut Ave. It was unclear to officers as far as the involvement of the vehicle in the shooting incident. Due to the recovery of the firearm and ballistics located, both parties inside the vehicle were issued an exit order and pat frisked for weapons to no avail. Additionally, the interior of the vehicle was frisked to no availability. The driver and the passenger were originally uncooperative with officers and refused to give a statement. Officer Entwistle spoke with victim number 1, who stated he was at venue and left at closing time, then went to the garage on Tremont Street to drive home. Victim number 1 stated he observed 2 unknown females inside the garage and engaged in a conversation with them. Victim number 1 stated an unknown male approached 2 females and nothing further occurred between them. Victim number 1 stated he did hear multiple gunshots inside the garage on the second floor level of the stairwell. It should be noted, victim number 1 was uncooperative while providing a statement and denied he was involved in the shooting. Officer Rooney spoke with victim number 2, who appeared to be shaken up from the incident. He appeared scared and nervous while speaking with officers. Victim number 2 stated he was inside the garage with 2 females, and when an upset male approached the girls yelling in a crazy manner, saying crazy things. Victim number 2 stated he just left after he approached he approached the females but did not provide any further information about the shooting. Officer Rooney asked victim number 2 why someone inside the garage took the time to write down the license plate of the vehicle where he was a passenger in while involved in a possible shooting. Victim number 2 stated, Officer Rooney asked victim number 2, did someone pull a gun on you? Victim number 2 took a long pause as if he was about to say something but was reluctant. Victim number 2's body language was nervous and apprehensive. Victim number 2 appeared to be hesitant to speak to officers, but it was clear victim number 2 was involved in the altercation based on the look of fear in his face. Ultimately, victim number 2 refused to speak to officers about the incident and did not make any further statements to officers. Sergeant Detective Taxter and Detective Walsh arrived on scene for photographs and to process. Officers did seize a firearm, 1 black 9mm semi-automatic DB9 Diamondback, loaded with 1 9mm Luger rounds in the chamber and 2 9mm Luger rounds in the magazine. All evidence was seized and processed by detectives. Officers conducted a CJIS query for an active LTC or license to carry on the suspect to no avail. The suspect was then placed under arrest and transported to booking. Based on the above statements and based on the totality of statements, the suspect was placed under arrest for multiple firearm violations. And that is essentially the facts.
Thank you very much, Officer Entwistle, for reading all of that. Attorney Evliades, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Questions for Officer Edelweiss, if you don't mind. Officer Edelweiss, good morning.
Good morning.
You were present that evening?
I was.
And you got a call around 3 o'clock in the morning, correct?
Correct.
And did you see any type of altercation or group formed outside on 100 Warrington Ave?
So the original call came in at 100
Warrington
Ave for a large fight. As officers were responding there, simultaneously a second call came in for shots fired inside of the garage.
I understand, but did you, in your course of getting to Tremont Street, did you see anything happening on Warrington Ave?
I never made my way over to Warrington Ave. Due to the severity of the shots fired call, I went right to Tremont Street.
Okay. And then with that being said, the portion of this report in which someone states that they were actually at venue is the paragraph that starts post Miranda, where he stated he understood. Officer Gilbin reiterated to Olesis, and Olesis that a fight broke out at the nightclub on Warrington Ave. He also stated that he heard something about a firearm being mentioned.
Correct.
Right. You didn't hear any of this from that particular person, did you?
Did I?
Yes.
I don't believe so. But Officer Giblin notified me that the suspect had stated that.
And this was on a Sunday night going into a Monday morning, correct?
Yes, Monday, October 14th.
Okay, and on that evening, you didn't have any type of interaction with the actual licensee?
I did not.
Thank you. I have no further questions for the officer.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for your witnesses?
Yes, well, I'd like to call Kevin Montgomery. Kevin?
Yes, hi. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Would you state your full name for the record, please?
Kevin Montgomery, head of security of Paga.
And how long do you work there?
Approximately 20 years.
And on the night in question, can you describe the establishment and what was happening at the establishment, the licensee's establishment?
We was having a regular Sunday night. Very small crowd. We had like 15 employees, small crowd, less than 150 people.
Okay. And how large is the establishment?
We have a capacity of 481, I believe.
And during the course of that evening, did you have any incidences within the establishment that was brought to your attention?
Just a small group of individuals, with one individual that's more of the aggressor that we escorted outside that night, but nothing major inside the house. No.
What time of night was that?
1-ish.
1-ish. Okay. Yeah. And at 2 o'clock, the club was closed down and everybody was asked to leave?
Yes.
And what is the standard protocol as far as security getting inside the club?
As far as getting inside the club, everybody's asked to escort outside the club, and as more
As people come inside the club, do you have any security measures that will prevent?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We check their IDs, we pat them down, scan their IDs, and if need be, we warn them.
And do you have a female security person present to make sure women don't bring in any kind of weapons or firearms?
Yes, we have a female and a male pat down.
Okay. And at 2 o'clock at night, security usually goes out and makes sure that the crowd is dispersed, correct?
Yes.
And after the crowd is dispersed, it's safe to say that you then close down the club and people leave.
Yes.
Were you still there at 3 o'clock in the morning?
At 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday? No.
Okay. Was anybody else still there at 3 o'clock in the morning?
No, everybody's gone home for the evening.
And on this evening, when there was a verbal argument at the club and the people were separated, this was around 1 o'clock in the morning of that day?
Yes.
Was there any type of issue with that happening, or was it just smooth?
No, it's just typical, like, just ask somebody to escort out, and they usually just leave and you left peacefully.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, I would suggest that as unfortunate as this incident is, it happened over on 270 Tremont Street after our establishment, the licensee's establishment, was closed and quite for some time. As the manager of security had stated, it was a very slow night. It was only 100 to 150 people. They had 15 security service personnel on. There was nothing more than a verbal altercation inside where one of the patrons was asked to leave at 1 o'clock. What happened with that person from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning, the licensee has no knowledge of. I would suggest that at this point in time, the licensee did everything they possibly could do to make sure that the people inside the establishment were safe. And when the club was closed, they made sure that the people were dispersed in front of the club. At 3 o'clock in the morning, everybody had gone home. I welcome the board to have any questions they may for either Mr. Montgomery or Mr. Reza.
Thank you, Attorney Avliadis. We'll see if there are any questions at this time. Chairman Joyce?
So your testimony today is that there was just one person that was asked to leave the club that night?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a dispersal plan in place, a written dispersal plan that you use to go over with your staff?
Yes, we have a whole guidebook that we do over.
Okay, can you we'd like to have that on file.
Sure, not a problem.
Could you send that today?
Yep.
I'll make sure to talk to the licensee and get that whole package for you.
Thank you.
So you're saying your closing hours is at 2?
At 2, yes.
And what time was the person that had that was asked to leave? What time was that person asked to leave?
I remained around 1 o'clock. There was a good period of time between they left.
Okay. At this time, I have no other questions.
Do you have any information or knowledge of whether the person who was asked to leave or the people that they were interacting with had anything to do with this later incident? Do you know?
I have no knowledge, no.
Okay. And do you have a video on premises?
Off premises?
No, on prem. Like, do you have video?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
yes.
And do you have video of the street?
Yes, but as far as, yeah, just like to the corner, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Do you have any video for us on that evening that shows that everyone's dispersed and the street was empty?
If I may, Mr. Reza, I know I've spoken to him about the video cameras, and he is currently addressing some issues with them. Mr. Reza, can you explain to the
If
board?
I may, good morning, members of the board. We have about 3 years ago, along with the association in downtown Boston, raised about $70,000 to install cameras outside of our premises along the area of the theater district. I know one of the cameras is at the end of Warrenton Street. I know there was one in front of a transportation building, and I believe there's 3 or 4 more along Tremont Street and the theater district area. And those are
You're speaking about cameras that were basically purchased, but you don't have control of. I believe the commissioner is asking you, do you have cameras within the establishment?
I was about to get there, Mark. I'm sorry. Basically, the ones inside of our establishment that we have access of, we normally have, I think it's about a week turnaround as far as what the loop is. In this particular case, we didn't even know there was an incident until sometimes later where we get served this paperwork. So we had no clue that there was any altercation or something went on that garage. So the answer is no, we don't have any thing because we didn't really know anything that went on. And if we had something, Commissioner Kern, it wouldn't have shown anything because we didn't have any incident that night.
Yeah, well, first of all, the licensed premise inspection was on the October 18th, 4 days later. So that's when you would have been aware that there was a shots fired allegation, right?
Yes. I'm assuming the dates are correct.
Okay, so once you got that information, that would have been enough to search your video, right?
Correct.
Okay, so the issue of the video overwriting is not really relevant here, right?
No, it's not. I was just telling you.
Okay, so why did you mention it?
Because of the loop that we have.
Yeah, but you got notification 4 days later that there was a shots fired incident.
Mr. Kern, we didn't have any incident that night. The ones that
No,
we had.
that's what you're saying. Video could help us determine whether we believe that or not, right?
Of course.
Okay, so a 30-day overriding loop is not relevant, is it not?
It's not a 30-day, it's a 1 week, and it's not irrelevant in that case. I was just explaining to you everything we have as far as cameras inside, the ones that we helped purchase for outside. I was giving you an overall view of our camera.
Yeah, but I would like confirmation that you did clear the sidewalk and that nobody was out there for an hour after your closing time. But I don't have that because you didn't provide the video.
Commissioner Kern, with all the respect, we've been in that area for over 25 years. We have.
I'm not talking about your history or how long you've been there. This is about this night. Specific to this night.
Which we had no records of anything. We had absolutely
No, 4 days later, you had a record of an allegation of shots fired that were connected to your premises.
Commissioner Curran, I think what my client is trying to impress upon you, we got a violation notice of a patron on patron assault and battery that was supposedly happening at our club. We spoke with the security manager, who is Kevin Montgomery. He explained to us that there was no assault that happened. There was a verbal disagreement. The gentleman was asked to move outside at 1 o'clock.
I'm sorry, Attorney Avilatis. The notice clearly states that a firearm was involved in this incident. That they would have got 4 days later.
I see that. I'm looking.
Okay, so to me, that's a triggering event. That's serious enough that I would expect video to be searched and preserved for us. It's unacceptable that we don't have video.
And I think that Mr. Reza is also saying that in the 25 years of history that they've been there, anytime the police have asked for video.
I'm talking about specific to this incident.
I understand.
And what I'm saying is it's unacceptable that we don't have video. Not with an allegation of a firearm.
Commissioner Curran, I apologize for not having that available for you. And again, without having the video proof, we did not have any incident that involved firearms that night. And like I said, we've been a big advocate of video surveillance. We have raised money for it to have it around for everyone's safety.
Yeah, but why don't we have it?
Because we didn't have any incident that night.
No, we would want the video, and the video would show that the sidewalk was clear and all patrons were, had gone home.
Correct.
Between 2:30.
Yes, sir.
But we don't have that.
But we don't have the video. We have the licensee's word for it. That's been there for a long time. And as
I think what I'm saying is, with an allegation this serious, I'm not inclined to just take your word for it. I need corroboration.
Yes, sir.
And I need to know that you take this seriously.
I mean, I can't tell you how serious this is.
No. Your actions don't indicate seriousness. That's what I'm saying. Saving the video would indicate to me that you took this seriously.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know what the capacity of the outside cameras that we purchased for the Boston Police.
You know what I would accept?
They may be. I'm sorry.
I would have accepted that you looked at the video. That you made an attempt, right? You're not telling me you can't have the video. You're saying you didn't preserve it.
Correct. I wouldn't lie to you, Commissioner Curran. There's no reason for me to do it. And what I'm saying to you again is there may be that the Boston Police still has a possibility of having that video available for you if you like to look at it. And I don't know who I have to go and ask, but I'm happy to do the requesting and see if I can get a copy of it for you for that night. Our video cameras it's not available any longer, but the Boston Police may be, because their system that we purchased is a lot more sophisticated than what we have in our system. That system is hooked up to the very large, sophisticated that's hooked up to the Boston Police. So if you like, I'm happy to pursue it and see if I can get a copy of that night, if it's still available under the Boston Police, because there's 2 or 3 cameras that would show clearly what went on in front of our place. And I can assure you, certainly nothing like that happened in front of our place. And hopefully, if I can get that video from Boston Police, we'll corroborate that as well.
Okay, Mr. Reza.
And my apologies for not looking at the camera. I understand what you're saying, the Commissioner.
Yeah, Mr. Reza, a couple points. I'm more interested in you controlling what you can control. So if you have exterior cameras that are your cameras, my expectation going forward would be that in an incident where you're informed of the gravity of this incident, that you would preserve video automatically. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Regarding cameras you don't have control over, I'm not asking you to, make extraordinary measures. I'm just asking for, a basic reaction that would show, to me that you've taken the incident seriously. That's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I believe Lieutenant Detective Troy wanted to comment.
I just wanted to say that the focus of the investigation, the shooting itself, was on Tremont Street, and video was obtained from the garage in Tremont Street and from medical companies and from the Genetec cameras, the Homeland Security on Tremont and Street. So I'm sorry, Tremont and Stewart. So the focus of the investigation wasn't on Warrington Street itself, so that's
and that makes perfect sense, and that really, Mr. Rez, goes back to the problem here, right? But sometimes, especially if the incident is, kind of identified in a remote location, this kind of it slips through the cracks, right? You were made aware that there was some connection to your address. And so, that helps us in not letting these things fall through the cracks. Because the investigative, thrust is kind of drawn to another location. But with regards to you in your location, you were told that this incident had some connection to your address, which is why we would want you to save your video.
Yes, sir. I want you to know that we've gone above and beyond trying to assist Boston police in the past, and we will in the future with anything that we possibly can. I mean, we've come at 4 or 5 in the morning and opened the office and sat down and gone through surveillance tapes in the past with detectives, and we gladly do it anytime, any place that we could assist Boston police with anything. There's not a lack of effort. I wanted to mention that.
Okay. I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
Yeah, not to beat a dead horse here, but as Commissioner Curran was saying, it's, it's not just assisting the Boston Police, but, the board actually has a notice out, a public notice to all licensees about preserving videos that have to do with a notice that you have received. So yes, absolutely have the police there, have them to watch the video in order to help out the BPD, but then also upon notice, you need to preserve, and that is for all licensees. We're not singling you out. This is, something that has gone out since last year.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And to echo what my fellow commissioner said, I just want to make sure, did you receive and read that advisory from April 2024?
Madam Commissioner, I did. Unfortunately, I had I had some health issue that I was in a hospital for about 2 weeks, but I have heard about it. And I know you have another meeting coming up that you had requested all the licensees to be there, and we're planning on being there, and we'll certainly.
But when we send these advisories out, and this is for your attorney too, I believe you're on our distribution list. You have a responsibility to read them, to understand, to make sure you understand them, and to train your staff on them. And what Commissioner Saxon and Commissioner Curran is saying is, once you've received the license premise inspection notice, you have an obligation to preserve that video until the ultimate resolution of the incident report, which would be this Thursday when we vote. So I understand you might have been sick for 2 weeks, but this is on our website. You received it by email last April, and we talk about it all the time. So what I'm looking for from your establishment is a written dispersal plan and written acknowledgement that you understand your obligations to preserve video once we received an incident report. So this will be the last time we'll ever have this discussion with your license premise.
Yes, ma'am. And by the way, we were making a huge investment towards bettering our equipment as much as we can. I wanted to mention that as well.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the board on this matter? Great, and it sounds like there is a request for the written dispersal plan as well as a written acknowledgement that the licensee understands the obligation to preserve video in line with the advisory that the board released in April of 2024. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement. We'll move on to item number 6, which concerns the same licensee, Paga Inc., doing business as, actually it's a different licensee, Paga Inc., doing business as Nixon Venue, located at 100 Warrington Street. Date of this incident, October 12th, 2024. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning. Mark Evliadis on behalf of the licensee. With me again, I have Kevin Montgomery, Head of Security, and Mr. Reza.
Thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Great. You have all been previously sworn. Lieutenant Troy, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
Sure. Reading from a report written by Officer Nunez. It reads as follows. About 2:35 a.m. on Saturday, October 12, 2024, Officer Nunez, while conducting routine patrol in the Theater District, was flagged down at Tremont Street and LaGrange Street regarding assault and battery that had occurred. The victim, Mr. Jack Lima, stated that he was jumped inside venue at 100 Warrington Street. Lima stated that after being attacked by 5 white Hispanic males, the bouncers of venue removed him from the club. Lima stated that he encountered the same group of males who assaulted him earlier at Tremont and LaGrange, where they attacked him again. Lima said he felt significant pain to his right hip. Officer Nunez requested EMS, and the group of males left on foot up Tremont Street towards Boylston Street. Another witness, Benjamin Herrera, stated that he didn't see the group of males attack Lima inside venue. However, he did witness Lima being pushed to the ground on Tremont Street. After seeing Lima fall, Mr. Herrera intervened. Another witness, Nicholas Sakur, approached Officer Nunez, stating the victim, Mr. Lima's story is false. Sakur stated that he and his friend, that he is friends with one of the males involved in the interaction. Sakur was informed by the male who was involved in the interaction that Lima threw the first punch. Sakur stated that the person that was involved in the interaction wouldn't attack anyone unless provoked. Sakur attempted to contact the other individual through Instagram to no avail. That's the extent of that report. The victim was transported to Tufts Medical Center. So let's see if there's another report here. That's the extent of the police reports.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. Attorney Evliadis, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Lieutenant Detective Troy, good morning.
Good morning.
Just for the record, you were not part of this report, or you were not present during this particular incident, correct?
No, sir, I was not.
Thank you very much. Mr. Montgomery?
Yes. Yes.
You working on this particular evening?
Yes.
And it's my understanding after speaking to you that what happened on the particular evening inside the club?
No, it was just one particular guy. There was no fight going on, but he was being aggressive to the point where we just escorted him out. And then he left. You know, there was no physical altercation inside the club, period.
Okay. And other than that particular incident, was there any other issues during that night?
No, none.
And just for clarity, this incident happened on October 12th, 2024, and we received the actual violation notice on November 7th, 2024, correct?
Yes.
I have no further questions for the witness.
Thank you. Do you have anything further, Attorney Evliadis, before we move to questions from the board?
I don't. It's my understanding, because I've spoken with the management and with Mr. Montgomery, that on that particular evening, It was basically a quiet night, other than this one individual who was asked to leave because he was having an argument with someone else.
Okay, thank you. We will see if there are any questions at this time. Chairwoman Joyce.
Thanks. At this time, I don't have any questions.
At this location, what is the camera situation? Is it right over in a week, or is it the same as the other location of the previous?
Mr. Reza?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
What's the timeline for the camera looping at this location?
I believe it's the same thing, Lieutenant, Mr. Carr.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, if there are no further questions from the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Item number 7 was already heard, and item number 8 will be continued to the next available hearing date as the licensee was unavailable this morning. Those are all the items before the board today. The board will vote Thursday morning, February 13th at 10 a.m. Notice has been posted to the city's website. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.